Good morning, everyone, and welcome to In Touch on WCCI and WCCIRadio.com. In Touch airs weekday mornings at 11:40 a.m. With us today in the studio is Mike Casper, President and CEO of JCE Co-op. Mike, great to see you again.
Yeah, you too, Brian.
It's been a while.
Yes, it has. Too long.
Yeah.
We need to get together, do this more often.
That's right. And we've got some important things to talk about today. You want to reach out to our listeners and your members and kind of tell them a little bit about what's happening because of so many factors that will be impacting the rates and how you determine them.
Yes.
And basically, we know going to the grocery store, going different places, inflation's out there. So let's kind of talk about how the consumer price index and inflation impact your decision-making and your rates?
Yeah, no, great question. And for those who are members, we have a great column talking about inflation and how it continues to drive costs higher, not only, like you mentioned, for our consumer goods, but also for other utility costs, for example, which we provide our members. CPI is Consumer Price Index. Prices are going up. Over the last 10 years, it's been about 30%, but in the last 4 years alone, from 21 to 24, it's gone up 20%. And that's this consumer price index. But for our products that we provide from electric side, it's been from 21 to 24, that same 4-year period, over 50%. And that's for materials like transformers, wire, which is under and overhead, and other hardware needed to keep the grid functional and reliable for our members.
And this probably makes it difficult to kind of keep rates in line and figure out where you're going and what might be around the next corner.
Yes, it is. So in our process, we budget what we're going to spend the next year, and we've already gone through that budgeting process for 2025. So it makes it very difficult to understand and know, because those costs continue to be built into the materials that we continue to purchase, not only in 25, but in the future. And that makes it even more challenging to budget and come up with our budgets. And then part of that budget is, okay, we need revenue to be able to make that up. And that's where our rate increases come in. What we have promised our members is we are going to keep rates at or below inflation. Well, over the last 10 years, inflation has been close to 30%, as we talked about earlier. For what we've been able to do over these last 10 years, inflation's been just under that. We have increased our rates just under that. So inflation's been about 31, 32%. We're at about 30%.
And as far as the rate increase goes, obviously it's necessary. You understand that a lot of people are impacted because they're just, kind of making ends meet day to day. So this is something you definitely don't take lightly.
No, not at all. And that sounds like a lot. And now that's over a 10-year period. And so what we've gotten together with our members, member advisory council members, just to ask them, okay, do you want a 10% rate increase every few years, or would you rather us smooth that out? And overwhelmingly, they said smooth that out. And so this year, beginning and usage for March, it'll be in your April bills. We're looking at on average across all of our rate classes of about 6%. So what does that mean, to the average consumer and trying to keep costs down? So you think about 6%. If you have a $100 bill one month, it's going to be $106.
And that sounds better than just it's a rate increase, and it brings it home. You kind of listen and you say, okay, that's not as terrible as maybe if you were just saying 6%. Oh my goodness,
Right.
So,
yes, just trying to bring it home and what that really means. So 6 times 12, you can do the math. $1,272 a year.
And you're looking at that going into effect soon, right?
Yes. So I mentioned, March usage. Mm-hmm. So beginning March usage, we're not going to hit you right away. I mean, we have our budget development through the fall. We vote on that through our members, your district directors that you elect. So our district directors listen, we develop our budget over those about 3-month period. We really meticulously went through it line by line this past fall. Not that we don't take very good care, but this year especially, knowing these increases over the last couple of years, especially to, reduce or mitigate or really try to reduce that spending as much as possible. So taking out certain line items that aren't necessarily a priority at this particular point in time and reprioritizing certain things because you still want to continue to provide a safe and reliable, not only a grid electrically, but also from natural gas. You want to keep that system safe for our members.
And I know you work tirelessly to make sure that you're checking all the boxes and that you're anticipating things and putting yourselves in a good position moving forward.
Yes. So a good example of that, and I appreciate you bringing it up, is we have an independent consultant. We provide them all of our cost information, for example. They go through, and this is for each of the different rate classes. We have about 15 or 16 different rate classes, from residential to larger industrial members to different accounts from dairy, you name it, across our wide service territory, actually long service territory from all the way from East Dubuque all the way down to Geneseo. They look at it, they look at the cost, and one of the costs are the facility charge that people look at, and they go, wow, that's higher than potentially an investor-owned utility, that cost. Well, we developed that based on the number of members or number of consumer accounts that we provide in each of those rate classes. Well, we're a much smaller utility than a larger investor-owned utility that surround us. You cross the river to downstate to closer into the Chicagoland area. We have, for example, 8 consumers per mile of electric line. They have over 30, for example. So they have more accounts to retain that cost to our members, those fixed costs to our members. And so for us, we only have 8 members across that same mile line to be able to recover those fixed costs. So that's why that cost is higher, and that's based on that cost of service study. That's what they determined. So on average in the state of Illinois for electric cooperatives in 2023, those costs were, on average, the facility cost was $47, and our cost in 2025 is going to be $46. So we're slightly less than that, but it's a good barometer to determine where we are at and where we stand with others. This is just for us because the independent consultant, they determine or come up with that number, but it's also a good basis for us to be able to see what other co-ops are doing across the state, too, to make sure we're in alignment.
And, of course, there are some things that you're working on right now, including fiber and getting more and more access to that.
Yes, and our 3 strategic objectives, the big one that you're talking about is growth. Growing the cooperative, being able to spread cost over more members, more accounts or subscribers in this case with fiber, how we can stabilize those rates for the future. So instead of a 6% increase, it could be a 3 or 4% increase next year as we continue to grow our subscribers and our accounts to be able to spread those fixed costs across more people.
And you're working hard with grants and different things to reach those places with fiber. I know that's something that's huge.
Yes. Thank you for bringing that up, Brian, because we've received over $100 million worth of grant awards. I'm emphasizing awards because we also have a matching portion to that. But if it wasn't for that awarded grant portion for unserved and underserved, and that I will emphasize that, underserved and not served, those are in your very rural areas. That's where we're getting the grant awards that are eligible areas so that we can bring fiber to everyone in Joe Davis County, Carroll County, and parts of Whiteside County.
Well, I know our time is winding down here. Just a couple of things, I guess. You're not out to make a profit.
Correct.
As the way that you're organized. I mean, people sometimes kind of think, they're just trying to make more money. No, that's not it. And then secondly, if somebody's having issues, You're not heartless either, right? I mean,
No.
you can find ways to help out.
Right. Like I said, we went line by line through our budget. We're trying to minimize costs as much as possible for our members. And again, getting to the heartless part, we were working with our members. You are our members, member owners of the cooperative. Call us if you have any concerns about making your payments, and we'll work with you also. There's a lot of low-income members that we serve, and there's opportunities out there through the Low-Income Home Energy Assistance Program, and we have agencies that we work with very closely. I was just in D.C., for example. Each of the offices that we spoke to, we were emphasizing the importance of LIHEAP, that particular funding for our members, and how many members actually do participate in that and how important it is to them. And again, we'll also work with our members, especially in the winter and the summer. We do our best to work with them and try to reduce and keep those costs down. Margins, we have very minimal margins. We just have to be able to meet our covenants for our financial institutions. But any margins that are left at the end of the year, we allocate those back to our members. And that's in your December bills, you'll see a capital credit to your bills. So your bills sometimes in the December timeframe are much less because of that line item.
Any final thoughts here, Mike, as we finish up today?
No, just we're growing for you. Operational excellence is important. So think about fiber and broadband. We're also advancing our advanced metering infrastructure system with new metering systems that provide our members much more opportunity to be able to monitor their energy usage, as well as being able to more efficiently be able to provide energy to them and be able to understand where issues are out in the lines. This is what fiber is bringing. So it's not just about growth. It's also on our electric and natural gas side. It's going to help improving our operations and becoming, it's operational excellence is our strategic objective, as well as enhancing value to our members. And there's been a lot of value brought to our members through the growth of fiber, as we talked about earlier, just as much as you like it, the improvement with what you have. But a lot of people are working from home. It provides economic development for our area and region. There's three big things. It's growth, economic development, enhancing the value to our members, but improving their quality of life.
Awesome. Well, don't be a stranger. I know it's been a while. Come back again. Keep us updated, because I know you want to reach out and just keep people informed. And I know you've used other avenues as well, but you don't want people to pop open that bill in April and say, "Oh my goodness,"
Right.
You want them to know what's behind it, and that's what you did today. So,
Great. Thanks, Brian, for the opportunity.
that's Mike Casper, President and CEO of JCE Co-op, and that's today's In Touch here on New Hit Country.